are live with Kaiju. I don't know why I just said it that way. It just felt cool and awesome and like Golemish. But anyways, I am Tokusatsu Shogun. Joining me, we have Kamen Rider Geek.
Sup?
DJ Anubis.
Howdy.
Alzilla.
Hello there.
Anthony Jordan. And
Hello.
also, first time appearance on this channel, Mr. Big Bad Wolf.
Had to get a swig in there.
Hey.
Good evening.
Godzilla.
Why aren't you joining the stream,
Yeah,
dickhead?
that's what I just said.
What a cheap bastard.
Get the fuck over here.
He's probably still playing Doom.
Yeah.
He's really into it right now.
Yeah,
so I don't
Boy, his ass is about to be doomed in a minute.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Do you want to tell us something, Wolf? Are you and him having
Okay,
relations?
No, not like that.
Oh.
Oompa, loompa, buggery, boo.
That didn't exactly sound right there, We're Pup.
Yep. Yes, you're invited. The link's in the Sci-Fi Society group, dude. Get your ass in here.
Join us.
Quit being lazy.
I'm invited. No, we're just telling you to come in because we want to specifically
I
keep you out.
believe that's all, folks.
That's all, folks. Oh, yes, I stammer.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But I did, tonight is actually the channel's anniversary, 1 year old for Tokusatsu Action Land. It has gone through a multitude of names until I hit this name. I mean, I love Tokusatsu. It's my livelihood. It's what I grew up with originally. I mean, I was introduced through Power Rangers, all that cool science fiction, awesome, cool geek stuff. And
Speaking of geek, I'm so excited for the new Voltron. Cannot wait.
Henry Cavill's going to be in it.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
this is the first time
Oh,
hearing
nice.
about it.
Oh, it's gonna be live action, I think. So it's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard about it.
That's the kind of stuff I grew up with. That and Battle of the Planets, stuff like that.
Oh, you mean
Voltron,
Gatchaman?
Yes.
There he is.
there he is.
There he is.
You mean G-Force?
You got it, brother. G-Force.
G-Force.
What up, Godzilla?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Good.
What up?
I live, I guess.
Ah, very good.
So,
Why are we so small?
huh?
Good.
Because there's lots of us.
I don't know. Do I need
Do you have
I
a
think this is
different grid?
the layout?
Yeah.
I think this is the most we've had on one episode yet.
There you
There
go.
you go.
I was wondering why we were always grouped off to the side.
Well,
I'm like,
I
this
get
thing
it
is
sometimes when you want to show stuff, but that automatically does it for
Yeah.
you. But,
And on this special anniversary episode, we are going to be talking about Alzilla's favorite Kaiju franchise. Am I not mistaken? The Gamera franchise?
Well,
I mean-
second favorite, actually.
We're going to be talking about a second Kaiju franchise versus his number one franchise.
Gamera is really
Yeah.
neat. Gamera is full of meat. We're all going to be
You
I
want
actually did a Kaiju spotlight with Alzilla about Gamera not too long ago. That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought
yeah, I
this was
remember.
I thought this was a discussion on who would win between Godzilla and Gamera.
I mean, that could be that too.
Ah,
Yeah,
I'm sure we'd talk about that as well. So.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Not much,
Yeah.
So I got
not much of a conversation.
Anubis, I don't know how to get one of these verses off the right way. So you want to kick us off with this? Because I've never actually done one of these verses before. So how you would do it, because there's two separate monster series,
Franchises, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious how.
I said we can discuss one
So
first.
is that what
and
you're
then
trying to
the
do?
other.
Is compare the franchises against one another?
You can in a way, and then you can also say which.
Well, let's start with the contender, which would be Gamera, of course, because Godzilla has always been the most notable face and the major kaiju of all kaiju. So with Gamera, you had those earlier films, and they were kind of brought to our attention in different ways. They were more kid friendly, generally featured kids, and just a little bit easy to get into. And then, of course, a little bit different in terms of the actual kaiju itself, with its being able to fly just by being a turtle. And I think, if I recall, and granted, I'm not Alzilla can correct me if I'm wrong, but the original Gamera film, he was sort of like an anti-hero because he wasn't necessarily like right off the bat a hero. He was kind of like an anti-hero, just kind of awakened and then was kind of like fucking shit up for a while.
I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. He got awoken by a rocket that was within the Antarctic. He came, started wrecking crap. Then they tried to trap Gamera into a rocket, bring him back into outer space. That didn't work. He came back down, wrecked shit again. And then a kid found himself in peril. Gamera saved the kid, and that's when the people went, you know what? There's more than this guy than we realize. Maybe we should just back off because obviously he's friendlier than we think. How's that or a giant pedophile?
If I'm not mistaken, that's the original design right there.
What's weird is in the first movie, Gamera was a villain. He woke up from a nuclear explosion in the Arctic, destroyed stuff specifically to eat the flames off it because that was his gimmick. He ate fire as well as breathed it. And at the end of the first movie, he gets shot up into space. Second movie opens with that, him being getting hit by a meteor and coming back, destroys one thing, and then decides, whoop, I'm a good guy now. And it was just, from then on, he's just been a good guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he was created to kind of be the alter ego to Godzilla? Because since Godzilla was initially born as like a villain, do you think that was sort of the creation process?
More
just Godzilla is what started it.
The first movie definitely was basically just to make money off Godzilla's stick.
So,
oh, nice. What I was going to say is
that's Matt Frank autographed.
Fancy.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty much from what I can understand is Gamera was created after Godzilla kind of helped bring a movement towards the Kaiju franchise that another Japanese studio went, hey, let's create this guy and see what we do. But the fun thing about that is Gamera franchise is what inspired them to make Godzilla a good guy because they realized, hey, Gamera is actually getting over with the audiences because it's being a more kid-friendly film. So like, you know what, let's move away from the bad guy stuff and make Godzilla more of a good guy. That way it brings more kids into the theater, which again brings more families to the theater.
Yeah, but before Daiei made Gamera, they were originally going to make their own original kaiju film called Nezura. It was supposed to be like a rat monster, and I spoke with DJ about this.
I saw this on Tubi.
Yeah, unfortunately, that film never got made, so they decided to go with Gamera instead.
Honestly, I can't see a giant rat kaiju taking off.
Actually, the funny thing is, it was like an old cartoon. I wish I could remember when. It was like this old anime cartoon that had like a rat version of Godzilla take on a rat version of Mechagodzilla. And they all just
I remember that.
Crap out of each other. I forget what that show was called, but maybe Matt, you could probably give a take what that show was.
That. It was an anime.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a rat that got turned into like a Godzilla looking thing, and the only way they could defeat it was the other rats in the house actually created like a Mecha Godzilla. It was like a golden Mecha Godzilla rat, and they ended up fighting in the house. It was cute.
It was a trick.
It was. I agree.
Yeah, it was really cute to watch. And like it was like a music video that I watched of it, and I think it was a song called "Someone to Control Me" or something. But I didn't watch the entire video, and it's like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah,
and
when I saw that, I'm like, what the? When was this a thing?
Yeah, and it was just.
Yeah.
It was just really cute to watch, and like it ended up like the way how the Mechagodzilla ended up defeating the rat was ended up like giving like a bath or something, and then eventually it turned back into another rat, and then eventually it went away, and that's how the story. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just they had to do something, I guess. Anime's weird sometimes. It's just whatever.
Anime's as weird as Norse mythology.
Hey, you leave Norse mythology out of this.
Hey, I'm just speaking the truth.
Yeah. Don't be touched about Northmen.
Yeah, you leave Norse mythology.
I think even the Norsemen would be like, yeah, some of our stories are interesting, are rather interesting. Yes.
Hey,
I don't know what the fuck that accent was.
that was like Irish, Scottish, and
shit.
Something else. You leave. Hey, let's leave Norse mythology alone. Okay.
You can still appreciate Norse mythology and admit to some of its goofier aspects.
Yeah, like Loki impregnated.
At least it's not as
you had to bring up
Sleipnir, didn't you? Mythology.
You had to bring up Sleipnir, didn't you? Everybody goes to Sleipnir as soon as Norse mythology is brought up.
I like this Japanese picture. I don't know whoever.
You're talking about the first poster, right?
I always think
that's awesome.
I always think of the story where Thor has to dress in drag to try and get Mjolnir back. Is it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that why he dressed in drag with to get his hammer back?
Yes, someone stole me because in the ancient sagas, the Mjolnir doesn't have the enchantment where it's the worthiness. Someone actually stole it, and he actually had to dress in drag because the one that stole actually has terrible eyesight. And the way to get him back was he wanted to marry someone of great beauty, but he couldn't see it, so Thor just dressed up because it was Loki's idea. So yeah, blah blah blah. But yeah, that was the original poster for Gamera, and that was a great film, the original Gamera. And it's funny that the original Gamera film was actually in black and white, even though it came out in the 60s, long when the film industry had gone to color. They still chose to put it in black and white, and still it complemented the film even in black and white. And yeah, it was still a fun movie. You know, good stuff. And even though Gamera was portrayed,
I didn't know that Daiei did the Damagen series either.
Cool. Oh, I love those movies.
Oh yeah, they did do the
I didn't know they did them though.
series.
Oh, color may have been in the standard. May have been the standard by the time it came out, but keep in mind, Daiei was also constantly on the verge of shutting its doors.
True. But the black and white did complement the movie the way how it was done. And then we did get the superior sequel, Gamera versus Barugon, but we'll get into that later. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
I had to switch shirts.
Yeah, fuck
you guys.
Shogun, we might want to review the Gamera movies at some point. Those would be really good movies.
I plan to put this on for the stream before I seen you wearing it.
I just noticed you guys had the same shirts. So I went, okay, I gotta put on this shirt.
Technically,
you guys have the same shirts. I have.
We look so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, we do.
Look who's talking, Anubis.
Yeah.
Oh, you want ridiculous?
Oh no. See, Aljo went different, so at least he's got something different going on.
Yeah.
I thought it was just work uniforms.
What was your guy? I'm just out of curiosity. Here's a question for this: what was your guys' first experience with Gamera? Like, what did you think of it when you first saw this film for the first time this month?
There's ridiculous.
So we're gonna go in order from.
I saw Gamera was back in the day. Does anyone remember Mystery Science Theater 3000?
No, those guys.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's where saw the first Gamera movie was
I
Mystery Science.
raise you a bucket hat.
I miss I used to have one of those hats. I missed it. But anyways, yeah, that was my first experience, and I enjoyed it. And I shortly thereafter they had it on Sci-Fi that didn't have the Mystery Science stuff in it, and so yeah, I was able to appreciate the movie with the riffing and without it.
That's
And
the
I
joy
think
of
both are
fucking Gamera. You can actually enjoy it with riffing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because for me, the Mystery Science Theater 3000, yeah, they were riffing the movie, but it wasn't like they were like dogging the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were making jokes, but they weren't like taking the piss on the movie.
Right.
Though some of the movies they watched, oh my god, did they?
Yeah, some of those movies they watch, they have no choice because they're
Yeah,
so
my
effing
friend
bad.
and I, when we watched Gamma vs. Tigra, we watched the Mystery Science Theater version. Dadgum, they were roasting that film to oblivion from beginning to end. Some of the jokes in there are so friggin' brutal. It's like, oh shit, how did they get away with that?
Yeah, but to be fair, Gamera versus Zigra was kind of it wasn't as bad as like Godzilla's Revenge or anything, but it was not the best movie, and the dubbing was something. Like the one line of "Stay back, or I'll throw him to the dolphins," while standing in front of an orca tent. Well, now that we know, more people know what dolphins are actually like. Yeah, that's kind of scary. But back in the day when dolphins were portrayed as, oh, they're cute, Flipper.
Yeah, Flipper. Yeah, exactly.
They're still Flipper.
Yeah, but now we know Flipper is a diddler.
Yeah.
What I was thinking when I should have said my first experience also with Gamera was I saw it on YouTube, like featured and stuff one day, I think, or some site, and I'm just curious what it is because at the time we already have Godzilla running rampage all over the city and stuff. I've seen a bunch of Godzilla movies that I haven't talked about on stream, actually, surprisingly, from Final Wars, which I love, actually, to other movies that I have not seen. But back to Gamera, what it was, I think, that interested me, intrigued me about this is this giant turtle. This turtle is, it's like it. And Alzella fill us in a little bit, the origin and stuff. It's found in the Ice Age, right? Or it's frozen, right? When they first
yeah, because Gamera was frozen for like millions of years, so he's like an ancient monster of sorts.
Okay,
he's like a prehistoric fire-eating turtle. In the original series, he was just like a dinosaur or something. It was only like in the Heisei trilogy where he was like an experiment from Atlantis and such.
Yes,
uh-huh,
that's correct.
And
the opening really isn't that different from the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms.
No, not really.
Yep.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I just think the impact Gamera, it just interests me because this is a monster, like you guys have said earlier, that to children, I mean, you have to put into perspective that okay, you have to put into perspective that with Gamera, it's kind of the opposite of Godzilla. You know how Godzilla is after humans and stuff, all that. I think,
yeah, pretty much.
Like Anubis pointed out, I think Gamera is the closest to Godzilla's rival. That has to be, because I've never heard of any of these monsters like duking it out or stuff. I even heard there was a fan film of this, even called Gamera versus Godzilla.
And let's not forget Death Battle.
Oh yeah, Death Battle.
And I mean, this kaiju is really unique. It's cool. It's interesting, and I mean, I think it's one we'll definitely review, and that is our next series after the Godzillas is the Gameras, in fact. And I mean, it intrigues me enough to talk about even more there. But overall, my perspective of the original movie is probably an 8 out of 10 if I had to say a review score. I'm not gonna go full on. We'll do that down the road after the Godzillas and stuff and the Kongs. But I mean, I think it just flows really well done.
Oh yeah.
DJ Anubis, you want to talk about it?
Oh, well, I think Gamera does compete with Godzilla in terms of popularity. I mean, at least close. If Gamera is usually the second one you would think of in terms of popularity, but
Yeah.
it is strange that, and I guess this is a credit to Dai, that they went all in with Gamera. So, like, when they chose to have a competing kaiju, they found one that they kept going and putting stuff out, with him battling other creatures and stuff like that. So much like the Godzilla series. But I think in hindsight, the only thing kind of sucks is, we got all these like Mothra films and stuff like that, but we only got like one Rodan solo film. We never got any like series of that or Ghidorah or Anguirus. So it's like, it's kind of bummer is like, you have to kind of look back and say, what if they had kind of just done that for all their kaiju, just kind of maybe made a run of different movies just to see how it would play out. But obviously you would have to have the audience for it. And I think at that time, and even now, the audience is still just recognizes Godzilla the most.
Yeah.
But I did like, one thing I do like about Gamera, like, even though I think the older films have kind of lost their luster with me a little bit, except for the ones where he's actually fighting other creatures, it's basically the 90s trilogy is like one of the best ones in the entire Gamera series. I love the look. I love the storylines.
Oh, yeah.
It's approached a little more maturely. I talked with Alzil a little bit about this when we were discussing it. It's a much better approach, and it sucks that they haven't really done much more with Gamera since then. I know they've been trying to work it out with Toho and vice versa about making them meet. I said it'd be like the perfect ending to the -1 trilogy is to like have them do their second one and then have the third one be the verses of the fucking century by having Godzilla face Gamera. I think that would just be so awesome.
It would be. I agree with you 100%.
That's as long as they're able to work some kind of agreement with Katakawa.
It'd be
The reason why it
Well,
hasn't
hang up, man. Like, they both want a piece of that big pie, but man, if they were smart, that would make so much fucking money, dude. So much money.
Well, they could have,
I agree.
if they're worried about who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, just have the film end on just have the big climatic battle end on a cliffhanger.
Well, I think,
and not only that, but you gotta
depending on
make them both look good.
Well, yeah,
Gotta
but
make
I think
them
that
both look
Toho
good
is
when they
like
fight.
smart. Depending on what they do with the second one, like I don't know how they're gonna approach that with Godzilla, but if they keep Godzilla as like a villain, then it works out perfectly because you don't have to make Gamera a villain in the third one. Like you can just say
Gamera's whole establishment hasn't really been a villain. Maybe one time in the first film, but then after that, he's been a straight up good guy. It's like in Godzilla versus Kong. People,
I mean, as long as Dai doesn't get butthurt that they say, well, Godzilla can't be killed. Like even if Godzilla loses the Gamera, he doesn't really lose.
Please don't let's hope they don't make Godzilla the next Rock.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
Doing that would be better than dusting off King Ghidorah for the 50th time.
Oh,
right.
yes.
But although we did talk about like the second -1, they got to at least try Anguirus or Biollante. I think that would be amazing.
Well, I have a feeling it's probably going to be Hedorah because the director mentioned he would love to make a film with Hedorah.
Shut up. Just shut up.
I would be curious how they do Hedorah.
Go to your room, big bad wolf.
Hey, I'm just staying with the director of -1 said
go to your corner.
in the interview.
I hey, I'd be getting in the corner with him because I like the idea of Hedorah. I actually
You
like
get in the
Godzilla
corner
versus Hedorah.
too.
Yeah, I
You get in the corner too.
You guys are killing me, Smalls. No.
Let's keep in mind
Nobody
Everyone
wants
told
to
you
talk
no in
about
your
me
life,
out there.
Anubis.
what the director's
There's a lot of
Maybe
room in
told
that
you
corner.
no.
Well, put it this way: which movie would you prefer, Godzilla versus Hedorah or Godzilla's Revenge?
Godzilla's Revenge at this point. All right.
You
get in the corner, man. You get the heck out.
Yeah,
of
you get in the
Bullshit.
corner.
I want Gabra. I want some Gabra. All right. We've had Hedra twice. All right. I want to see. I want to see.
Yeah,
Gabra
the second
come
time we
back.
got Hedorah, he was a bitch. Like just
I don't
straight
care.
up
We've
bitch.
got Hedra twice. Okay, give me Gabra again. Okay, I want to see. Give me a
Gabra's
serious
gonna be a bitch.
Gabra. Give me a serious Gabra. Okay, give me a serious Gabra.
Technically, we got Gabra twice. Singular point.
No, that doesn't.
That
No,
is
that's not
true.
Gabra. Nope, they said it's not Gabra.
No,
it's some
that's
kind of
not
ogre
Gabra.
thing.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Elsa. That's
I was
Not-
gonna
Salonga. That's
I
its
don't
name,
care.
Salonga.
Stung by any other name would still have the same stench.
it's not Gabra. Nope. I reject that nonsense.
No,
Nope. Get it out of here. Nope.
Salonga.
The name
What
of
Just
the
reject your reality and
What
substitute
about
my own.
doing Varan or something like that?
Ooh,
Fine. We'll split the baby. Give me Varan. There we go.
Varan.
Oh
versus
yeah,
Gamera?
I love
Professor-
Varan. I
Professor
don't
would be
care what
very happy
anybody
about
said.
that.
I love Varen.
Fine. Okay. We'll play nice. We'll play nice. How about just Gorosaurus? Okay. There.
We have Jurassic Park at home.
Yeah.
You.
True.
Oh no. That's a Padlin. That's a Padlin.
I'm signing
That's a
up
Padlin. That's a Padlin. You dare speak ill of Gorosaurus? That's a Padlin.
Anyways,
That's a Padlin.
What was that?
Gorshmoris.
What was that, Orphan?
then.
Nani?
Oh, you named Tokusatsu Shogun on here. My bad.
Nani?
Nanja?
I want to hear your introduction and stuff to Gamera.
So my big thing on Gamera is I just seen him in pictures and videos. Like there was this huge website I went on when I was a younger kid. It was like a website that was like a huge encyclopedia of giant monsters. I remember running the Gamera on there, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
Oh, really?
And I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty." I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And so then I looked up Gamera some more, and I noticed a few things like the notable villains he's fought. And so it wasn't until I was 10 I got my first Gamera film because some neighbor kids, they ran into this DVD at Walmart. They went, "Hey, John would like this. Let's buy this and bring this to him." And it was Gamera versus Guiron. Which that one was a weird film to be introduced to Gamera with, but
that movie is a trip.
But I will say this: Guiron is, in all fairness, a pretty cool kaiju. I mean, what other kaiju is out there that is literally a gigantic kitchen knife
With
four
legs, yeah.
and can shoot out shurikens from his nose?
Exploding shurikens.
Oh, they were exploding. I guess
Yeah, I remember them exploding.
Well, I guess I don't remember that part.
They're cool as shit, though.
I remember the retracting. I don't remember them exploding. Hey, okay.
But yeah,
so
that was my
remembering
introduction. So my first impression of that was, okay, this is an odd take because most kaiju movies I'm used to watching don't involve a kaiju risking their life for kids. It's usually a kaiju beating up things, not giving a crap about humanity, and then walking off like a boss.
Here.
Yep, and then of course, like Anubis said, it would be cool if they did Godzilla vs. Gamera one day, because that would be like the only thing that would rush all kaiju fans to the theater. Like if Toho announced, "Hey, we teamed up with Day to make this third Godzilla -1, and it's gonna be Godzilla vs. Gamera," I can tell you all hype for any future Monsterverse films that would be coming out around that time would be out the window because people would be talking about the hype for Godzilla vs. Gamera. Which is like
they did it for Godzilla and King Kong. Like that was like a big event because
and that's what actually helped get people back to the theater after the pandemic.
Well, I'm talking about like the original one.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, the remake was the one that we got recently was great. Like it actually got everything right in terms of like how the creatures would fight. But the first one, like it was like a big event back then because you brought the American King Kong and put it against Godzilla, which was very popular at the time.
Yep,
So
which is why Kong, even though it was a draw, Toho pretty much said like Kong won because it was the idea to try to help make more money and woo more audiences. Since at the time, Godzilla
Idiots.
wasn't as much of an icon as Kong was.
yeah,
I want to get.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true.
I want to hear Anthony's first take on Gamera. Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming's first take on it.
I was probably in the first or second grade. My aunt got me a couple of the movies at a Star Trek convention, and one of them was the first movie, and that's what I've watched. What I watched first.
She took one look at Anubis and went, "Nope."
she didn't want no part of me.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Sorry, Anthony.
I've been watching. Like I said, my first time was probably in the first or second grade. My aunt got me a couple of the movies, including the first one at a Star Trek convention. And I really liked them as a kid. Granted, as an adult, most of the Showa ones haven't really aged well. I can watch the first one. I like the second one. But after that, they're kind of tough to sit through. But we got the Heisei films, which are phenomenal. And then we have that. What was the name of the one that came after that?
Gamera the Brave.
Yeah, Gamera the Brave, which all they had to do was add the ending from Revenge of Iris into it, and we could have actually concluded that story. But that's a whole other rant. But yeah, I've been a fan for the majority of my life.
Yeah, I would say those films are what stuck out to me most is the Heisei trilogy, which I have all the steelbooks for the Blu-ray. And I will say, some people may disagree, but in my opinion, the trilogy is better than most of the Heisei era Godzilla films. There's three of them, though, just as good as the Heisei trilogy, but most of the other films aren't as good as the Heisei trilogy.
I agree.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
I agree.
It's just because they did so many weird things with the Heisei stuff. Like it looked good.
the
and,
time travel shit.
Yeah,
It was like
that-
some of that stuff is like, it looked great on paper, but when they executed, it was just poorly done.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the stories as much as I did with the Gamera trilogy. That was so good.
Oh yeah, it was dark.
yeah,
They still
I
kept the friend of all children aspect there without it taking too much away from the dark tone.
Yeah,
And just what they did with Gamera too, where I like his story from being a construct built by the Atlanteans, kind of better because it helps signify of how he's a good guy and not a threat. And that's what inspired MonsterVerse Godzilla.
Alzilla, I want to get your take on it. What was your first experience? I know you kind of told it when you and DJ Anubis did your his spotlight on Gamera, but you want to tell us a brief explanation how you got into Gamera and stuff?
Yeah, well, when I was a little kid, I was into Godzilla, and I was in my local FYE store, and I saw a VHS cover of Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. And it really intrigued me because, I bought the VHS. Well, my dad bought it for me. And when I saw the movie, I was just blown away by it. It was an English dub, but that movie made me Gamera. I loved his world. I loved the abilities that Gamera has. And I just think Gamera is such a really unique kaiju that doesn't really get talked about that often. I mean, yeah, he is popular, but I don't think he's as popular as, say, Godzilla or King Kong or Mothra. And it really does sucks because I feel like Gamera, deserves more recognition than he deserves.
Mhm.
He has quite the amount of like. If we had to compare the trio of kaiju compared to any trio of comic books, so let's say Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, we compare them to Godzilla and say we compare them to anyone. Godzilla would be Superman, Gamera would be Wonder Woman, Kong would be Batman.
Although
Just because
Gamera
they're
be
dynamic.
Green Lantern.
Well, I was thinking
I don't
because
know
they're
why. I feel
dynamic.
like Mothra's more.
He's
Wonder
asking you what
Woman.
DC hero would Gamera be if you were a hero.
I think he was saying more that like Gamera, Kong, and Godzilla are like the three pillars, kind of like Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman are the three pillars of the Justice League. Not like a one-to-one kind of comparison.
Not only that, but how I was doing comparison is like if we look at Godzilla, everything about him signifies Superman in many ways. And if we look at Gamera, if we go with the Heisei part, he's a construct built by the Atlanteans, and he's super skilled with combat, like to the point where he probably rivals Godzilla in his combat capabilities, and he has great intelligence. Wonder Woman was pretty much a construct because she was kind of made by the Pantheon, made out of clay, to be this princess.
Yeah.
So she, in a way, is a construct and is also much more skilled than even Superman when it comes to fighting. Then we look at Batman. He's crafty. He's resourceful. Kong is also crafty and resourceful.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I would say that compares Batman and Kong, both are characters who are hanging out with others that would realistically destroy them with absolutely no goddamn effort. But yet somehow people think they can fucking hang. Because I'm sorry, I grew up with Kong and stuff, and I've had the Kong versus Godzilla debate. I love both properties, but realistically, a fire-breathing atomic lizard is going to beat a giant gorilla. I'm sorry, but gorilla is going to burn, and it's going to smell.
I agree. 100%.
I agree.
We throw in Gamera. We add flying. Monkey go up, monkey go splat.
Yeah.
Gojira 851. Were you going to say something about that, Anthony?
Before, who's seen that video someone put on the internet where it was from the scene from King of the Monsters where he's powering up before he wipes out Ghidorah, and you have that chimp panicking, pulling on.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
I haven't.
I haven't seen.
It's like a chimp locked in a cell, freaking out.
Yeah, it's like, please let me out. Please let me out. Please let me out. Please let me out.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking out trying to rip the door off. It just can't get out. It's slowly building up energy. It's funny.
But Gojira 851, Matt, what was your first take on Gamera?
Well, when I first moved to Florida, I met a buddy named James, and went over to his house, and he showed me this thing called Laserdisc. I'm like, what the hell is a Laserdisc? And it's a friggin' disc the size of a record. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, they're like giant CDs. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you ever hear of Gamera? I'm like, no, what's Gamera? He's like, it's like Godzilla, but it's a turtle. And I just kind of tilted my head like, what? And he turned on Gamera versus Gauss. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, all right, I'll watch it. Because he had a bunch of Godzilla movies there as well. And they were the same quality as the VHS copies. But, it's like, okay, we watched Godzilla 1985 afterwards. But we were watching Godzilla versus Gauss. And, Gamera versus Gauss. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And it was like 1996. I think I was in 5th grade when we watched it for the first time. And it was fun. So then I was with my parents at the Brandon Mall. And we went to Suncoast Video. And they had a little monster section. They had Godzilla movies and they had Gamera movies. And right there they had Gamera versus Barugan. And I thought that was the most interesting looking of all of the Gamera films. I think they had Girin there as well. They had Segra. They had Jiger there, who I dodged a bullet with that one. But then I picked up Baragon, and I went back to his house later that day. I'm like, hey, I picked up this one.
That's a cool design for it. I was going to say.
That's an awesome poster. I love sharks as well, and that's one of the coolest monsters.
Oh yeah.
And one of the cool things about Gamera is that he always dealt with aliens, and he always did aliens with aquatic beings as well. I thought that was always really cool about Gamera as well.
Gauss wasn't an alien.
What's up?
Gauss was not an alien. Gauss was like in the first movie was like prehistoric vampire bat.
Well, neither was like a parasite almost.
Neither was
vampire.
Baragon or Jiger. Yeah, those were Earth monsters.
Yeah, but with Virus and Giron and stuff like it's like it's fun, like fun little monsters he dealt with. I thought those were like the funner movies as well. But anyway, so yeah, that was my first just hanging out with a buddy, watching these gigantic weird disc things. Just not a cell phone in sight, just living our best lives. As the saying goes.
Mm-hmm. Should we? I think we need to go into the Godzilla franchise because
hell yeah!
I know we've touched on Gamera and all these cool. Do you want to go through the villains, like the monsters and stuff? Is there any one monster that
we could go through?
Maybe.
Oh, sorry, Orphan, didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say maybe we could go through what our favorite Gamera villain probably is.
Yeah, that's what I was getting towards. Like,
I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm down.
What monster monster jumped out to you? Like, this would be a perfect opponent for Gamera. Like basically like Superman's kryptonite. In a sense. Like, what foe or villain or whatever jumps out to you, and you're like, oh, or even just a new kaiju and stuff. It's like what I'm trying to say. English 1, 2, 3 English, like Geek says. Sometimes I'm getting that, but what monster or what ideas in monster kaiju type would you like to see Gamera face off against in the future? Even it can be something from current Gamera, that monsters of past. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
You know what? If we're gonna do that, instead of people keep talking Godzilla versus Gamera, how about Gamera versus Rodan? Like or Mothra, something that's like him that can fly in the air, or fuck Gamera versus Destroyer. Destroyer would be absolutely perfect. Destroyer's whole thing is, he was supposed to be the antithesis of Godzilla. Or Gigan would be perfect.
Yeah.
The Defender, Guardian of the Universe was what the first movie was called. Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. Yeah, Guardian of the Universe versus the Universe's Hitman, because that's what Gigan was supposed to be, an intergalactic hitman, I guess.
Yeah, not only that, but Gigan, his buzzsaw could probably cut through that shell with ease, especially if he flies down fast enough. Because he was the first one to make Godzilla bleed.
Yeah.
Gamera spinning, hitting Gigan while Gigan spins his buzzsaw blade. Now, if we were going to use that, I think we would need to use Final War Gigan, because Final War Gigan, I think, was a superior design over the chubby Showa version, especially when they upgraded his fucking claws into the fucking twin chainsaws and shit.
Just don't make him as fragile as Final War's Gigan.
Yeah, no.
I like that figure right there. Is
that Final War's Gigan was so fragile that he easily got blown up twice.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. He wasn't soft. The issue. I love Final Wars. Everyone knows this. But because they were doing a basically free for all, like they had to get to those monsters quickly. In a perfect world, that movie would have been 6 hours of Godzilla going through all these battles and fighting all these creatures. But no one's going to sit around for 6 hours except for us But the reality is they had to get through those fights fast. I mean, Zilla got his ass kicked, and
As he should have.
Caesar and Rodan got their asses kicked all in one. So it's like that's just
right,
how it
sci-fi.
went.
Rodan got his butt kicked. That giant turkey.
True, but at the same time, they could have done a little more with him.
Well, they could have, because he was like their main attacker, like the main guardian of the Zillions. So, but then they had
Monster X.
Ghidorah. Yeah, good Geyser.
The funny thing is,
Kaiser.
the way Monster X appeared when he first makes his entrance, that entire thing he does was actually the director mentioned that was based off of Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. But that was completely inspired by Frieza.
I like the look of Monster X. Monster X was interesting. I think Monster X was a little more interesting than Kaiser Ghidorah. Not to say that Kaiser Ghidorah was bad. I just liked the fucking bouncing kung fu villain that Monster X was.
Yep. Yeah, Monster X, the Kaiser was much better than the actual Ghidorah look.
It
But
kind
I
of,
have to admit, when I saw that, it
weird
was pretty
take on the
interesting because I didn't expect Ghidorah to pop out of that, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting take on Ghidorah. I mean, the difference was he had 4 legs and a very small wing, so makes me wonder if he would even be able to fly.
Well,
Yeah.
if he had got a full movie, what would probably happen was he wouldn't be able to fly at first. He'd absorb because he was absorbing energy from Godzilla. He'd absorb more energy from Godzilla. His wings would grow and shit, and then he'd be able to fly. Kind of like Ghidorah from the Mothra movies couldn't fly at first, but then grew its wings out.
Descador.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got quiet.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Then the conversation died.
No.
Check something.
Cue the Seinfeld theme.
I did kind of suspect that he was going to become Ghidorah because I actually had rented the DVD from Walmart and how they put the little monsters that are on the back. It's the same way in the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
But
spoiler alert.
you have Monster X, and then it shows the King Ghidorah as Monster X2.
Yeah,
So that kind of gave away that he was going to become Ghidorah.
And if you look close at Monster X's design, you can see the other fucking heads on his shoulders.
yeah.
Well, the idea was that entire head was supposed to be based off of skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he had a fairly skeletal design. Not only that, but if you look at his tail, the tail has 2 tips.
I never noticed
When I watched it, I was just like not even caring. Like, I don't worry about the details.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 7, I definitely didn't give a shit about the details. It was like, hey, Godzilla movie, I'm going to watch it. First Blu-ray I ever watched it. Not first Blu-ray, first pay-per-view I've ever watched.
I just wanted fucking Don Fry's sword. I just want that goddamn sword.
Are you sure it wasn't his mustache?
I would like. I think his
that
mustache
mustache
too.
is
That thing is legendary. That's a legendary mustache.
I was that or his hat.
The entire outfit, just damn.
Yeah.
Don Fry got that drip.
What?
Don Fry is intimidating enough. You tell him he looks good, even if he was wearing a potato sack, because otherwise you're afraid he's going to beat you unconscious, like he did to that one dude. And I forget the name of his opponent, but that one fight where they just walked up and just grabbed each other's head and just started wailing.
Yeah, that's pretty much the most famous fight.
Yeah, he turned that dude into hamburger meat.
I just thought it
He
was funny when
looked like Glenn from The Walking Dead after taking one hit in the head with the bat.
Yeah, but you got to give the dude credit for just walking up and trading blows like that. You know,
That dude did not go down. They just stood there for like 2 minutes straight, just wailing on each other. That was epic.
Yeah,
you wouldn't hit a girl, would you? He smiles and like.
My buddy Isaac, when he watched that, he was dead ass laughing when he came to that. When it was like, you wouldn't hit a woman.
Well,
Yeah.
the open hand chopped her.
Yep.
Like, well, you're technically not a woman. You're just
Right.
skin.
Exactly. You're a skin flint.
You're something trapped in a woman's body.
Whoa.
So okay, do we want to touch on Godzilla since I know we've done Gamera a good amount?
Well, I figure that's what we
real
do.
quick. Why not have Gamera fight Ghidorah? Like upgraded version of Ghidorah, like a monster-verse version of Ghidorah. So we're talking about flying monsters, Imagine, remember that scene in Godzilla King of the Monsters when Ghidorah grabbed a hold of Rodan both by the wings and then blasted him with the center head? Imagine him doing that to Gamera. That would be a badass aerial fight sequence.
That would be cool, but the
Ghidorah would smoke him though.
Yeah,
The issue is the way Gamera tends to work is how he fights his villains is the first fight he'll lose because he's literally trying to analyze his opponent. Then he recharges, then he comes back to finish the job because he knows how they're going to attack, he knows their patterns, he knows their weaknesses, tries to exploit them. Whereas Godzilla, on the other hand, he just keeps fighting until he dies or the opponent dies.
I'd still watch. Hey, Gamera versus King Ghidorah.
I'd watch it.
Especially Monster vs. King Ghidorah. Monster vs. King Ghidorah would off Gamera the first fight. There wouldn't be a second fight.
Well, unless everybody keeps telling me about how badass Gamera is in this Netflix show, which, shame on me, I haven't watched it yet. But imagine him from this Netflix show versus.
Huh?
The fuck?
I think that's the wrong film.
Does someone need like a lozenge or something? What's wrong with their throat?
Yeah,
I think
got one of those voice
someone's been
modulators.
smoking.
Were you guys commenting on my? That was my cell phone.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, I had the Dalek exterminate as my.
I thought that was a figure
Okay.
he was messing with.
Okay, all right.
No,
okay.
I got a text message.
Okay.
Geek, you gotta get a normal.
But before we talk about Godzilla, but before we talk about Godzilla, I would say that Gamera's overall main villain is Gauss.
Yeah,
Gauss is the most reoccurring villain.
Yes, but
he's been in 4 of his movies.
Evil, man.
But my favorite villain of Gamera's is, I would have to say, Barugan from the Showa era. I would like to see an updated version of Barugan, like from like the Heisei era, if they were to do that. But
it is criminal if they had Jigger instead of Barugan be in Rebirth, because Barugan was his first opponent.
Since
Jagger was pretty badass though in the Netflix.
Yeah,
series.
he definitely was, but it's like Barugan was his first opponent, and they replaced him with Jagger.
Since we're talking about Godzilla opponents for Gamera, what about Godzilla versus Legion?
Oh, that'd be badass.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see Biollante versus Legion.
Oh, that would not end the way people think it would.
Biollante would become the new Nest.
Or they're saying Destroya versus Legion. Destroya versus Legion.
I think people were saying Destroya versus Iris.
So
yeah, that's what I said.
They are saying there's a theory, and I think people are going for it, is for -1 sequel that Biollante could be the big.
Please. Biollante.
They touched on a couple. There might actually be both Biollante and Anguirus.
Yes.
That would make my
Anubis, you get a caramel cube if I ever see you in life. Okay,
I would be interested
You
to
get
see how
one
they
single
get an updated version of Biollante.
You get a super cube, horsey.
And since we know who the director said he would love to do, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to throw it out there. What if it's Biollante and Hedorah?
Go to the corner, Anthony, for 2 minutes.
I can see how they do it. It starts off with Biollante, but because Biollante in like the original movies is a genetic construct, throughout the movie, because of genetic drift or decay, she decays, and by the end of the movie, Biollante becomes Hedorah.
No, no more
See, the
Hedorah.
thing is that the director says he likes Hedorah, but everything that he's done outside of that says Angarius and Biollante. Even when he first got all the accolades for -1, I hit him up on X and I was like, if you're gonna do a sequel, please do Raids again with Angarius. And he liked my post. He liked my fucking post.
That doesn't mean anything.
really?
It means a lot more than he just saying, "Oh, I like Hedorah." No, that doesn't mean anything.
So you don't feel bad about your comment.
That's impressive. He actually liked your post, though.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive. Most
He's actually very engaging with the fans, so I'm really appreciative of that.
Yeah, most celebrities aren't too engaging with their fans. Most when they just go like, "Oh, hey, someone commented. Okay, off to the next thing."
But
So
guys,
it's nice to see people do that.
guys, I like sleeping, but I still go to work. Okay, it doesn't matter, if people like Hedra. Okay, it doesn't mean you should put Hedra in the movie. Okay, don't.
Yeah.
Then that doesn't mean they should put Anguirus in the movie or Biollante.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Shut up.
Yeah, but
Look at it this way though. I don't know how he's gonna make Hedorah.
He's not.
Suitable.
He's not.
I don't know. It's easier to create a new Angarius and Biollante than it is to do a Hedorah.
That's
Hedorah's
right.
Like a chocolate Gumby. There's not much you can do with Hedorah. He's like a bunch of goo.
I've talked about it before and how they could introduce him because, you've seen the character, she's infected with the Godzilla cells. Just show there's a lot of that, and they build this big containment tank. In all the biomass exposed to it, they just keep throwing all in that tank, including people exposed as they die. And that's where Hedorah can form in that.
Do that in the sequel. Do that in the third movie. Do that in the third movie. Do that in the third movie. Do it again. Do it later.
My concept, though, would be at the end of that one, though, the girl from the first film, she would die, and they would take her to the woods to bury her. Then you would see a time skip, and it would be 5 years later, and where they buried her, because they bury her with a rose. 5 years later, you see a rose coming out of the ground the size of a tree.
That does sound really cool. I still don't want Hedra in the movie, but that does sound really cool.
Yeah.
What was your guys? So I know we've done a lot of Gamera talk. We haven't done a lot of Godzilla, our introductory, and stuff. So what was? My first introduction was King Kong. Then Godzilla was after immediately, the movie after or something. So and I've talked about it on our review that Anthony joined us when we did his debut episode on the show as co-host on that because I asked him and he wanted it then. But it was Godzilla versus Mothra, the original, mind you. But what is your guys' first impressions of Godzilla? What was your introductory movie? What inspired you to fall in love with Godzilla? Is there something that signals some quality of life for Godzilla that inspires you to love this creature a lot, or why?
Are we going in the same order?
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Like I said in previous videos, my first Godzilla movie was the first Godzilla movie, and I enjoyed watching them because I always watched them with my dad. So watching them just brings memories of my old man. Simple, really.
Where's the froggy?
Okay, next.
Oh, he's done.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
next.
Yeah, mine was basically, I've said it before, I was probably about 7 or 8, and my dad used to drop me off at the movie theater on the weekends, and me and my sisters would go. They'd probably go watch some animated Disney movie, but I'd always go and watch, like, I wanted to check out Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 74, which was my first one. So from there, I just every weekend I would go if there was a Godzilla film. I was in there watching that, like Megalon and Godzilla and so on. So like I just fell in love with it. Even went to see 85 or 84, whatever one you want to call it, when it came out in the theaters, and then bought I have the Biollante VHS still, as well as the 74 on VHS. So kind of lost track in the 90s. I was just busy with life and kind of like lost track of what was happening with Godzilla. But yep. And then of course when 2000 came out, that's when I kind of got, oh, he's still around. Well, that's nice. So let's go and watch G2000, which became easily one of my favorite Godzilla films. And looks. And so from there, I was just watching it. Then I eventually went back to the 90s stuff after I discovered there was a bunch of them out there. Same with the Gamera. I didn't even know that was out at the time in the 90s. So like a lot of it was just catching up at that point. And then, of course, Neko and I, we watched the trailer for the 2014 one and we just were so excited. We went to see that like 2 or 3 times at the drive-in when it came out. So yeah, nice. Godzilla's been a big fixture in my life as far as like my fandom and stuff. I can't say I'm the biggest Godzilla fan because I've seen people that are just living and breathing it, but clearly I don't hate him that much.
Big Bad Wolf.
All right, so what I can say about the Godzilla franchise is back when I lived in Vermont, South Warrington, Vermont with my parents, there was a daycare I used to be dropped off after the day. And I think somewhere, I forget which closet it was, when I opened it up, there was like a whole bunch of movies that were just piled in there. And so I remember just digging through it just out of curiosity. I'm 4 or 5 years old. What's a 4 or 5 year old going to do when they see all this? We're going to dig through everything and look at something and just grab something that looks most interesting. And I saw this VHS double feature that had like Godzilla 1985 logo, but then when you look at it, one feature half showed Godzilla versus Gigan, the other half it was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And so I remember just grabbing it and just taking it home with me that day and just kept it with me for a while. I remember watching those films. And I've said this story many times, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was my introduction to the franchise. That's what made me really like it, because looking at Godzilla, he's just a giant T-Rex with stegosaurus spines and a iguanodon-like posture who breathes nuclear fire. I mean, what kid could say no to that? Even prior to that, I watched Jurassic Park, in which I was really liking a T-Rex, why a T-Rex was my favorite dinosaur, because it's the closest to reminding me of Godzilla. And so throughout the years, I think eventually my parents also bought Godzilla 2000. They bought GMK. They bought Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth. They also bought Godzilla 2000. So I remember watching all of those at a young age, along with the Rebirth of Mothra series that they also happened to find at Walmart and also Destroy All Monsters. So I had quite the introductory to the Godzilla franchise, but then for a while I didn't have any of the movies. My grandparents also refused to buy me any because they did not like the franchise themselves. And so I literally had nothing to watch except when Godzilla Final Wars came out. I was able to watch it on pay-per-view. And I was so excited to see all the kaiju from the Showa era in that film, because it was like a huge love letter to that era. And you can tell just by the action sequences, the fact that they didn't really give a crap about the story. Then to finally see Monsterverse come out into American theaters, my entire reaction was, this is something I've been waiting for my entire life, was a Godzilla film in Americanized theaters. Mm-hmm. And then -1 also brought up the standard, because that was the first Toho Godzilla film I've seen in theaters. So throughout the years, I just really appreciated Godzilla. That's been my escape from reality and inspired me to make my own kaiju.
Yeah.
And did you say you made one?
Yeah, I made my own universe with 2 Godzilla archetypes.
Can you share? Do you have designs or anything like
Yeah, I have the main one, but I'm not sure if there's any way I can share it on my end.
on your phone or something? Can you show it? Like,
I can try to show it, but it's if I can find a picture. I'm not going to scroll through my entire catalog of pictures I have on my phone because I don't want to take too long here.
right? I gotcha. What?
Next to your name, you see where it says present. Click that, and you can share like an image file, and I think it'll pop up in the middle where we've been showing pictures and such.
Okay, yeah, I knew you could do that. Just didn't know if I would be allowed to since I'm not the host.
I mean, I'm not the host, and I've been
You
allowed
can
to.
because Alzilla or
Let's see.
or Matt
Yeah,
showed a picture of Gamera, the poster.
Okay, so this is so I'm not can't show him in his regular state, but this is him when he's pissed off.
Okay.
So this is Kogar in his wrathful reckoning state.
Damn.
Oh
Wow,
nice.
John.
Which I did not draw this. This is by an artist by the name of Gabe TKE Zilla. You can look him up on DeviantArt. He's
I
a
know
very
that
fantastic artist, and he definitely pulls a lot of inspiration from Matt Frank's
The
style.
love child of Godzilla and Nergigante.
Well, pretty much, the funny thing is, a lot of the inspiration to him came from Godzilla and EX Gamera.
Huh.
But pretty much,
Nice.
this is his Berserker Rage
I
state.
know, Gabe.
And if you take a look here, you can see like part of this is heavily inspired by Guts' Berserker armor.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in the legs and a chest. But Shogun Nergigante is a monster you hunt from the Monster Hunter series.
Oh, you're telling him that. Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I was because I heard Shogun sound confused when I said Nergigante.
Yeah, Nergigante is one of my favorite monsters in Monster Hunter. My second Godzilla archetype is Orkraga, which is going to be based more off of MonsterVerse Godzilla, but he's pretty much, the inspiration to him is also Devil Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And Brachydios, because he's got a club at the end of his tail, but pretty much he's a giant crocodile mix ankylosaurus.
So he's a giant croc-cigar. Nice.
Pretty much in a way. Pretty much Kogar was kind of more like your martial artist, or Croc is like your brawler. So he's based more off of Monsters Godzilla's fighting style, which is Kogar is going to be based more off of Final Wars and EX Gamora's fighting style.
Anthony Jordan, what was your first, like, what we said, like, with Godzilla?
Ugh. However old I was when I got my first haircut, after that, my mom she took me and got me King Kong versus Godzilla, and I've been a huge fan ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But I would even, as a kid, I had the big Imperial Godzilla, and when I would watch either the original or 1985, I would take every videotape in the house and make a city out of them and destroy the cities.
Dude, I used to do the same thing. I had a Godzilla plush toy when I was younger. I remember, so I'm not going to go too deep. After a very traumatic experience happened when I was 5, I was sent to a family friend's house who was a good friend of my mother, and I was good friends with her son, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
He had this huge toy set going on with cities and people, and I had my Godzilla plush toy literally wrecking the crap out of everything, not knowing any better, to the point to his mom had to pull me aside and go, no, like I was a dog misbehaving, because I didn't realize that I guess they were working on something with that, and I was messing it up for the kid. Well, I thought, hey, look, build things that look like buildings I got my Godzilla destroy.
Alzilla, Onan, your take, what was your first, like, introductory to Godzilla and all that?
Well, my first introductory was, I was a little kid. I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I loved Jurassic Park, and my first introduction, believe it or not, was the '98 Godzilla movie. I know it gets hated a lot, but you know what? I honestly, if it wasn't for that movie, I wouldn't have been the Godzilla fan I am today. And after I saw that movie, I began to see the other movies. I remember renting Godzilla King of the Monsters in Blockbusters. You know, as a kid, I didn't know movies were made in black and white. And I always thought that, it was Reptar because I love the Rugrats back then. Then,
Hey, Rugrats was a great show. Okay, hey, you got nothing to be ashamed of there, Al.
Yeah,
Okay, I
nothing wrong
love
with that.
Rugrats as a kid. Come on.
Yeah, Rugrats took inspiration from Godzilla to the point
Yeah.
where Toho
Yeah.
actually sued them.
all right, let me. I love Rugrats. Don't get me wrong. One of my favorite shows growing up.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until Godzilla 2000 came where I got hooked like that. I remember me and my dad back then went to our local theater. We saw it, and I was blown away by it. And that is how I became a Godzilla fan. You know, I started to, read books, started to watch all the movies, rented the films at my local Blockbuster. God, I miss that place so much. And yeah, I even made, friends as well, through my connection with Godzilla. And even though middle school days were rough because, you get bullied a lot for liking this stuff. But and now everybody thinks Godzilla is cool now, because ever since the Monsterverse and now Godzilla -1, it's like, it feels great to be a Godzilla fan then, and it feels great to be a Godzilla fan now. Plus, with all the merch that we're getting, like you see behind me, like it's eating my wallet up.
Yeah, it's like now we can give a big middle finger to the bullies that kept picking on us when we were younger. Like when Godzilla vs. Kong was coming out, that was around the pandemic era, so people were dying to go to a theater, and people couldn't go for the longest time. And I remember just seeing how so many people were just talking about, even ones that picked on me back when I was in elementary, middle school, especially on how King Kong beat Godzilla in 1962. They would use that to bully me as well. That now to see that come out, to see so many people excited to go to the theater, I went all this time. People who picked on me for this are now dying to see this film, and to see Godzilla win against Kong. I immediately was like, "F you to everyone who said Kong could beat Godzilla when I was younger." And then
me too.
And then friends of mine who gave me crap, it was playful, that they wouldn't beat me, but they were just giving me crap. When Godzilla beat Kong, I literally looked at them and went, "Suck it."
I have a friend. He swore up and down King Kong was going to win that fight, and he loved to give me a hard time after the movie. I called him, and he's like, "Well, how'd you like it?" I just said, "I'm satisfied." He's like, "All right, that's enough out of you. No spoilers."
He knew right then and there what happened.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
Yeah.
Well, I think I got all of you guys beat because I was still in a stroller when I was introduced to Godzilla. I was with my parents at, I think the place was called Boscov's in Pennsylvania. I was getting pushed around. It's like a mall. It's a very small mall, and they're getting pushed around, and my parents put this VHS copy of this movie in my lap called Godzilla 1985. I was a little over a year old, and I remember being mesmerized by this movie. And got home, watched it, fell in love with it. Now, I was a big fan of dinosaurs, yes, but Godzilla just spoke to me. Just loved it. Everything about it just was amazing. Then the collectibles. Oh, the collectibles. Then my brothers came down, and they started watching Godzilla 1985 with me as well. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we've got more of these in the basement." I'm like, "What do you mean you got more of these in the basement?" they showed me like this bag full of Godzilla movies that they had been collecting for years. They had Son of Godzilla, Godzilla versus Gigan, King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 74 versus Megalon, Mothra versus. They had the whole kit and caboodle in there. So yeah, I was a kid in hog heaven. Eventually, the '90s came around, and Trendmasters started releasing their figures, and I still have this guy.
Oh, that one's an epitome. I remember seeing commercials on that on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I
This
always
is the-
wanted that toy.
This is the original release Godzilla from Trendmasters. You see, it has the green skin and everything. My parents got this for me. I've held on to it ever since. It's made it from all the way from Pennsylvania, made it all the way here to Florida. Unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore. But yeah, it used to roar, the eyes used to glow, and everything, and all the little fun stuff. But yeah, not going anywhere. I had to do a little painting of the dorsal plates. The dorsal plates started to turn green after a while. But yeah, one of my oldest collectibles in my collection. So yeah.
That one's definitely an epitome right there, because I remember watching videos on those commercials back in the day on YouTube, and just seeing there was Godzilla, there was Anguirus, there was Gigan, there was Mechagodzilla.
See, those commercials always got to me because they used the Heisei designs for the Godzillas and the Mechagodzillas. And then I would watch I'd watch the show movies, and I'm like, why don't these look correct? I don't get it. And then eventually they started releasing the Heisei films. I'm like, oh, now I get it.
They changed the design.
Yeah. And also, and the fun thing about figures in commercials versus the figures that they released to the public, they were completely different. They were a little bigger in the show, in the commercials, and they were a lot nicer in the commercials. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love that figure. It's not going anywhere. Still, probably the day I kicked the bucket. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about that. But anyway, still kicking strong to this day, and I've actually written some fan fiction of my own of Godzilla as well. After 2014, I actually had the kick to want to actually write my own fan fiction at one point. I didn't like the way how the Heisei series ended. Namely, how they ended with Miki Sagusa's character. That was the biggest part that I didn't like. I didn't like how her character, the last time we saw her, she was crying. It's like, really? She was from Biollante all the way to Destroya, and we're going to end with her crying. But we have this other psychic character, Miru, who we just got to know in this movie, Destroya. And she's the one who looks all optimistic and like, oh boy, what's that I feel? And then we see Junior's like, no. We should have flipped that, and we should have had her crying because she's the one that wanted to be all wanting to lure Junior to fight Destroy. It was her idea, not Mickey's idea. Okay, she should have been the one crying. She should have been the one that was all upset. Okay, we shouldn't have had Mickey crying. So it was my mission in life to right that wrong, but, you know, that's me on my high horse. I actually wrote my own trilogy that actually turned into a quadrilogy, but I actually wrote a trilogy that actually undid that, where she actually, you know, worked with G-Force after with the new Godzilla, which was Junior, and actually, you know, went on its own thing. So that's how inspirational Godzilla is to me. And all this fun stuff, you know, that I've actually seen, and all the fan films I've seen, you know, people doing, and I always wanted to have that produced, but let's just say it's a bit adventurous what I've had. Let's just say the second film has like 20 monsters in it, and I'd say it'd break a few banks to do it. So yeah.
Well, Matt, if you're interested in doing fan fiction, if you go to Toho Kingdom, there's something called Kaiju War Chronicles. And if you go to Toho Kingdom forums, there's probably a little part in there to where you can write your own Kaiju Chronicle story and then send it to those guys, and they can choose whether or not to post that in Kaiju Chronicles. So like it'll be like you can do battles, like you can go to a certain forum. There'll be like a huge roster of all the monsters that are within Kaiju War Chronicles, and you choose which ones you want to battle each other. You can write a story on that. Then you can send that over to them in the forums. And I guess as long as it looks good, the punctuation is good, it looks professional, they'll put it into the Kaiju War Chronicles.
No, I don't think I'm really a professional writer. It was maybe if I have someone like proofread it, because it gets kind of ranty at some parts, because
Yeah, I get you.
I have a lot of personal tragedy written into it, because I tried to get into because one of the characters in it is actually a Sarazawa, because I know that the Monsterverse has a Sarazawa character in it as well, but also a child version of a Sarazawa character. I actually wrote my character like that as well, but he's a bad guy instead of a good guy. But, I kind of get into I kind of mixed him between like a Bond villain and Doctor Doom in a way. And it gets kind of silly the way how I wrote him in a way. So I think I might need a little proofreading with that. But yeah, but yeah, as far as like Godzilla is concerned, my love for the character and the monster, is still strong to this day. And it's not slowing down. And I just have as much, care and love for it. I keep on meeting new friends and new faces every day, and just having so much fun, and I don't see stopping anytime soon.
Okay.
Never gonna stop. Yeah, never gonna stop.
Yep.
Everybody's probably wondering, why has this guy had these lanyards in his hand all this time and stuff?
You've got lanyards in your hand? Oh yeah, there you are.
So this is an anniversary show. I want to get back to the community. So just to explain this, everybody's name is on this wheel thing right here that is on the stream. I'm about to spin it. Whoever it lands on is getting a free DBZ lanyard.
Neat.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get back, into the fandom and stuff. And, it's just a way of saying thanks. And then afterwards, we'll wrap it up, upcoming content, all that stuff. But I'm spinning it right now.
Round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows.
Why don't you be in the middle?
I can't see it.
I think this is Anubis.
Hey, Anubis.
Did it say me?
Yes, it does.
You are the lucky winner.
You are the wiener.
Yes.
Yeah, lucky winner.
Winner,
Okay,
chicken dinner.
It's just going to cost you an arm and a leg.
I'll be sending it out to you, though. But which
Okay.
ones? Okay. So I got multiple ones. Which?
Blow yourself up so I can see what's there.
Oh, okay.
The one with
literally blow
broccoli on
yourself
it.
up.
Oh,
Broccoli.
Broccoli, give it up. It's all over.
we gotta get Anubis to watch DBZ, by the way.
You'll probably have to get Crunchyroll for that.
If he likes people screaming for a lot, not for a long time.
Yeah.
Which? Wait. You want me to show them one by one?
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Just surprise me. Just send me one you think I might like.
What do you guys think you would like of?
Send
I
him
do
the
like
prettiest one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Send him the pretty one.
Let's
Yeah,
check
send-
the camera on it.
Send him the pretty one.
Pretty one.
The pretty lady.
Make sure it's so pretty.
I don't know. This one has Frieza on it.
Ooh, Frieza.
Frieza,
Hey, there you go. That's a winner. Frieza.
Interest.
Or is there any with Trunks?
All right.
No.
Of course she wants trunks.
Oh, Trunks. Oh,
But-
that's not what I heard. Oh, never
Yeah, she
mind.
said Trunks.
Okay. Oh God. Okay, that's
Wait.
better. That's a lot better.
Neko
Oh.
knows DBZ?
Yeah. Yeah.
Neko's a big DBZ fan.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Neko used
Of course
to
she
watch
likes
before I think
Trunks.
some of you were born.
Of course she likes trunks.
But
I think Goji's trying to bust on you, girl.
What's wrong?
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Whoa,
easy.
dude.
From the future, Scott. He came back.
You don't have to tell me. I don't know shit about Dragon Ball. I mean, I've seen it a couple times in the past, but I don't know anything about it.
does
You don't
what-
know Jack
wait,
squat.
does Mega want me to send Trunks to him?
Yeah, send him Trunks. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, send him Trunks. Neko seems to like that idea.
Yeah, send him Trunks.
Not
There you go.
swim trunks, but the lanyard with trunks
Is
on
that
it.
the green bald dude, or is that what was his
No,
name?
the green ball dude's Piccolo.
That's it. Piccolo.
Yeah,
Or
no,
Dende.
the one with the purple hair.
Oh, okay.
Or just to be annoying,
No, wait,
make sure he
there
has
is Trunks. Trunks is on there.
make sure he has blue hair this time. Oh no, he's in a Saiyan armor. That means he's got gold hair. Oh wait, yeah, there he goes. That gold hair.
Yeah, Super
Ha.
Saiyan Trunks.
I win. Nah, I win.
Do you want to want a round table upcoming content? Because I know we as creators have upcoming content. So I know Geek doesn't have.
I ain't got shit.
Yeah, so
He's just on here.
Well, you need to fix that, Geek. Seriously, do something.
Yes, we need to get you.
Give me the
involved
money
in-
to buy the shit
Oh
I need.
yeah, I
I
like
will.
Vegeta. Vegeta was
Vegeta with the. Okay.
Okay,
said
all right. Yeah, send her some vegetables.
And Anubis, does Neko want one as well? I'll send you and Neko one. How about that?
she'd probably want one.
Does she?
Yeah.
Some fresh vegetables.
But anyways, upcoming content. DJ Anubis, you want to start?
So fresh vegetables.
Let's see. Well, tomorrow I'll be doing my debut for What If. Basically, just taking different franchises and movies and just kind of reevaluating, like, what if we had done something differently, either with the, like a prequel or within the actual storyline of whatever movie we're talking about. But the first one we're going to tackle is the Scream franchise. So I'm going to try to get a panel of people that want to talk, and I have some ideas that I want to convey. It's going to be 6 p.m. my time, Eastern, so your time as well, Anthony.
Okay.
Do you want? Sorry,
Go ahead.
You want to tell us the topic for this first episode? So just
It's Scream. Yeah, it's a Scream
franchise.
Yep.
So me in as a maybe because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to see Final Destination or get back from it.
I'll be at work, so I'll probably be on my way home from work. So
maybe he's saying maybe an hour after, if you probably give him enough time. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for now, because obviously you and I will be doing Tango and Cash on Saturday for Silver Screen, but then next week Neko and I will be gone for Maryland Death Fest, so we'll be busy festivaling up at that point.
I was gonna say, I do have my pick picked out already for the next Silver Screen after when you come back from Death Fest. I don't know if I want to. Do you want me to say it now or?
I'll just say it tomorrow at the end.
You got me. I've seen the kill counts for Scream, so I kind of know what it's about and stuff. It's cool. I might actually. I gotta do. I know Jedi Grand Vale is joining us for Savants on the 10th, on the 17th. Also, so I might try and get a watch party going tomorrow night after, let's say, your show, just in case anybody wants to hop on and watch Tango and Cash, because I hear it's a really cool buddy. I guess you can call it a buddy cop movie. Is that a good way to?
Yeah, basically. Okay. You got Stallone and Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
The Kurt Russell.
I think Goji should join us for that movie.
I'll try.
It's on Saturday.
Well, they were. I'll try.
But okay, Big Bad Wolf. Do you have?
So
any
pretty much
upcoming?
what I'll be doing is doing more edits for gameplay of the seamless co-op mod to Dark Souls. And that's pretty much it, unless we get some gameplay of Dead by Daylight tonight later on throughout the week, since now Dead by Daylight's doing a little special with the 2v8 coming back, and each time you log in or each time you play, you'll get 50,000 blood points.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Anthony Jordan, movies and gaming.
Well, I gotta upload my Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 74 review. Then next week I'll be watching and working on the review for Terra of Mechagodzilla, and I plan on seeing Final Destination tomorrow. So you might or might not see my thoughts on the movie after coming out of the theater.
I know I want to start doing that with a friend of mine. For that, Alzilla09, do you have any upcoming content?
Yeah, I am planning to make more content. You know, I'm planning to do like a video talking about my thoughts on Godzilla Kong's Supernova, and I'm also planning to do some viral, short edits. And other than that, though, I got nothing planned, but I will come up with something.
And Gojira851.
I'm going to try and do a cameo video for Jedi Granville, top 10 non-Godzilla monsters for Saturday. I'm going to try and do that and send it to him before he does his stream on Saturday. And then I'm going to do some more Doom the Dark Ages after that. But I'm pretty much opening every day this weekend, so I can't really stream for too much for this weekend because, got to be at the store early in the morning. So there's that. I have the X Plus Godzilla Rebirth from Godzilla vs. Destroya. It's either coming later this month or beginning of next month. Still waiting on when that's going to be doing its thing. Later this summer, there's going to be the 25 centimeter fake Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Going to be doing a review of that. And also the 25 centimeter Godzilla 1974 as well. Other than that, probably some shorts of other figures I'm going to be getting in today. I just pre-bought the McFarlane Doom the Dark Ages Doom Slayer as well. That was a pretty penny to pay for that. That's all right. I love Doom, so I'm going to be showing that off when it comes in. Also, I have some Haya toys that are on pre-order as well. I'm going to be doing short videos on those as well. Those come in. Also, in the future, I'm going to be trying to partner up with people doing videos and reviews on things as well. So there are those. So stay tuned for other things. That's that.
For us, so the 22nd will be our watch party of Son of Godzilla.
Ooh,
a
nice.
movie.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to checking it out. I think I've seen a little bit of it. I'm not quite sure. I don't have as great as memory as I used to, but that happens. As far as the review for Son of Godzilla, it'll be the week after. On the 29th will be Son of Godzilla review live on YouTube by the way. So if any of you guys are not doing anything that night, you're more than welcome to join us for it.
If I can, I definitely will. I love Son of Godzilla. I love that movie.
Same.
I already know the week after we are planning to do the King Kong movie with Linda Miller in it.
King Kong Escapes.
Thank you.
Mm.
My
Good
brain slips with that. The name of it sometimes. King Kong Escapes, and then the week after, I'm gonna try and reach out to Linda here, maybe the 29th or something. See what her schedule's like, because I would like to get her on live on this channel talking about that movie. I would like to, do a little review and like also interview, her review and interview Linda Miller on the movie King Kong Escapes.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you'll see. I should say you'll see Geek. You might see Godzilla. I don't know what your schedule's like next week or the week after, and you'll definitely see Anthony on that review as well, and Watch Party probably. I don't. Never mind about the watch parties. We don't stream those live, so that's my bad right there saying that. But this has been Kaiju Bash. This has been our big 1-year anniversary show. We've been talking about the Godzilla franchise versus the Gamera movie franchise. If you like this content, please check out this channel and also check out all these channels on this video, and also check out the Sci-Fi Collective YouTube channel. All these content creators are on there on the respective shows. You'll see Alzilla on there. You'll see Geek on this one. Alzilla. You'll see Geek and Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming. Anthony's own content is on that channel as well. Matt's and Big Bad Wolf should be on there as well. Excuse me, on there as well.
All right.
But anyways,
So excited.
huh?
He said so excited.
Yeah. But anyways, this has been Tokusatsu Action Land, and we are signing out.
Motherfuckers.
All right. Peace out.